Blessed greetings to you and yours. I would like to thank Father Nicholas Kasharian and the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America for this opportunity to reflect on a Christian perspective relative to their Faith and Freedom series on the 200th anniversary celebration of the Greek Revolution. I am honored to do so. Between 1920 and 1970, 6 million persons of African descent left the racialized terror of the post-enslavement period in the Deep South in the United States. My people were a part of the Great Migration in the U.S., who sought religious and political freedoms in the northern areas of the U.S. after experiencing over 250 years of enslavement and the successive period of Jim Crow caste laws. They had experienced the denial of religious freedoms, human and civil rights, and were convinced the northern U.S. would offer more of these freedoms, but such gains were limited. People of African descent have always proclaimed their right to religious and political freedom individually and collectively. The Black Church is an example of this. Various faith and secular groups have joined us in this. This collective movement contributed to our gaining religious and political freedoms with the Emancipation Proclamation declared by President Lincoln in 1863 by executive order, and the Congress in 1865 that ended slavery. I am an heir to this legacy. A moment of enlightenment about this came when I met Mrs. Maud Howe from the Blessed Virgin Greek Orthodox Church in 4th and 6th grade in Springfield, Ohio. She, unlike white teachers prior to her, who were racially unjust toward me, welcomed my identity, my Black church family, and invited me to visit her church and set me on a new educational course. My personal narrative is an example of the tensions that may or may not embrace individual and collective expressions of religious and cultural groupings in the U.S. and elsewhere. These tensions are also illustrated in stories in the Christian Bible. At the same time, the Bible and Christian teachings are also sources for reconciling the values of religious freedoms of all peoples. For example, scriptures like Galatians 5:13, which states, "For you were called to freedom, brothers and sisters. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another." Isaiah 54:14-17 says, "In righteousness you shall be established. You shall be far from oppression, for you shall not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near you." Galatians 5:1 says, "For freedom Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery." 1 Peter 2:16 says, "Live as people who are free, not using your freedom as a cover-up for evil, but living as servants of God." Key to these scriptures and other texts is the idea of the dignity of the human person, the imago Dei, made in the image of God, found in Genesis. The Reformation period and the journey of many Christian groups to the U.S. sought the embrace of their human dignity that informed the framing of religious and political freedoms in the United States Constitution and other government policies, such as the separation of church and state. Christians continue to wrestle with the tensions of cultural differences and other differences, individual and collective freedoms, as my personal narrative shows. Still, there have been substantial gains of ways for faith groups to coexist and support human dignity with legal protections for individual and collective freedoms of all faiths. Yet, we lament wars, conflicts, and thereby major loss of life where religious freedom still is not valued. May a renewed vision of religious freedom come to pass. Amen.